Hello, Whitworth. This is the Shema of the day as we think about what Shema means, to listen, from Deuteronomy 6, to hear. Shema, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. It was prayed every day by the Hebrew people. So here's the Shema of the day as we kind of lean into what this new normal is for us in our spiritual life. So here it is, prayer. I wonder how it's going for you, this idea of prayer in the midst of all that's going on with this coronavirus. Here's the truth. Jesus often retreated to lonely places to pray. In fact, over 29 times in the Gospels, there is a reference to Jesus praying. In Mark 1:35, this is the beginning of the Gospel of Mark, it says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. In Matthew 14, after the feeding of the 5,000, I mean, this is one of the biggest miracles. I mean, this was an all-day incredible event. It was like a festival, like an all-day festival. I mean, Jesus was in his prime. It was the top moment. And after the end of that incredible day, it says in Matthew 14 that Jesus went off to a lonely place and prayed. And I think about me, what I do after the big event, after the big camp or the big Young Life Club or chapel is I order pizza. There's a difference between Jesus and me. Prayer. We all know that as followers of Christ, we should daily seek God and we should pray. And I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Kent, it's all good. I hear what you're saying about prayer. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like God, speaks to me. It doesn't seem like God has anything he wants to say to me. It's like I pray and nothing really comes back, like in the days of old where God would speak. Like maybe he speaks to you, Kent, or to Steffi, or Lauren, or Forrest, or, the chapel staff, you spiritual gurus or whatever, but maybe God just isn't speaking these days to the average person. Of which maybe I would just want to say to you, if you're listening, where in your busy life, if God wanted to get your attention, could he? So let me encourage you to find a time and a place just to pull away from all this corona crazy and simply pray. Maybe just start off with 4 minutes a day, where you just make those 4 minutes a priority. And let me give you just a thought here in this. Maybe start off the time with just a little breath prayer. Maybe you just start off with the Shema, since that's our chapel theme for this semester. Listen. And maybe the breath prayer is simply, you just take a minute and repeat in your, just say, Shema. Or maybe, speak, Lord, I'm listening. And just take a minute to focus yourself in those 4 minutes. Now here's the deal, you got to prioritize this and make it a part of your schedule and life. Maybe right now, pull out your phone and just make a calendar event. Pray 4 minutes and repeat it for the next 5 days. Just go from Monday to Friday. You don't have to pray on the weekends. We're just trying to find ways to encourage you and keep you leaning into God in this time of being away, from Whitworth and Spokane. Let me close with a thought on prayer by the late priest and author and theologian Henry Nouwen, one of my favorite writers and spiritual directors. Here's what he says, and let me just read this to you. To pray, I think, does not mean to think about God in contrast to thinking about other things, nor does it mean spending time with God instead of spending time with other people. As soon as we begin to divide our thoughts into thoughts about God and thoughts about other things, like people and events, we separate God from our daily life. At that point, God is allocated to a holy, pious little niche in some corner of our lives where we only think holy thoughts and experience holy feelings. Although it is important and even indispensable for our spiritual lives to set apart time for God and God alone, our prayer can only become unceasing prayer when all our thoughts, beautiful or ugly, high or low, proud or shameful, sorrowful or joyful, can be thought in the presence of the one who dwells in us and surrounds us. By trying to do this, our unceasing thinking is converted into unceasing prayer, moving us from a self-centered monologue to a God-centered dialogue. To do this, we want to try to convert our thoughts into conversations. The main question, therefore, is not so much what we think, but to whom we present our thoughts. Wow. That's an incredible quote on prayer by Henry Nouwen. Whitworth, students, may you find space in your life to pray, and may you then begin to see that your whole life can become a sort of living prayer, an unceasing prayer to God, who wants to be with you, by the way, much more than you could ever imagine. Set some time aside during all of this new normal to pray. Peace be with you, Whitworth.